There was a little boy once sitting on the front steps of his house, legs dusty, eyes glued to the road, holding a small duffel bag. His mama had told him, "Your daddy said he's coming to take you for the weekend." So he waited. The sun rose, passed over his head, and began to fall behind the trees. Cars came and went, but not the one he hoped for. And when the streetlights flickered on and that chill rolled in, that little boy learned something most grown folks still haven't accepted. Nobody's coming to save you. That's a hard truth. It shakes something in your soul, doesn't it? We grow up believing someone will see our pain and step in. That some mentor, partner, friend, family member, or guardian angel is going to swoop in at the breaking point and pull us from the pit. But life doesn't work like that. You learn, sometimes the hard way, that nobody's coming. Not for the bills stacked on the kitchen counter. Not for the silent nights filled with heartbreak. Not for the childhood trauma you carry like a ghost in your chest. Not for the fear that wakes you at 3 a.m. Not for the shame that whispers you're not enough. Not for the broken dreams you buried because you thought you had time. Nobody's coming. It's just you. You and God and the decision you make today. That's the moment when things begin to change. Because the truth is, the change doesn't start out there. It starts in here. The moment you stop waiting and start owning, the moment you stop pointing and start deciding, you might say, "But Les, I've been through too much. I'm tired. I'm scared. I feel empty." I hear you. I know that place. I've lived it. I've been down to nothing. I've sat in rooms where nobody said my name, where my heart broke wide open and there was no hand to catch me. I've cried on floors that didn't feel like mine, wondering if I was born for anything more than survival. But let me tell you what I learned in that space. There's a power that only shows up when you're by yourself. There's a fire that only sparks when no one else is striking the match. And there is a version of you that only rises when you realize no one else is coming to lift you. That's when you get up differently. That's when you wipe your face and say, "Okay, I guess it's on me now." And that moment, that's your rebirth. That's where strength is forged, not in applause, not in comfort, but in quiet defiance. That defiance that says, even if I'm the only one who believes in me today, I will move anyway. That's what it means to stop waiting. We wait for a sign, wait for approval, wait for someone to validate the thing that burns inside of us. But what if you stopped waiting? What if you understood right now that nobody's going to build your dream for you? Nobody's going to give you the green light, hand you a blueprint, carry you across the finish line. Nobody's coming because you're already here. And that's the point. You've been here the whole time. Maybe you forgot what you were made of. Maybe life knocked the wind out of you. Maybe you started believing the lies that you're not smart enough, strong enough, ready enough, lovable enough. But here's the truth. You are more powerful than you know, but that power doesn't activate until you stop waiting for someone else to fix your life. It doesn't show up while you're sitting on the bench hoping to be chosen. It shows up when you decide to stand broken but bold and say, if it's going to be, it's up to me. When you make that shift, something changes. Your energy changes. Your voice gets stronger. Your spine straightens. And people around you can feel it. They start responding to you differently, not because they changed, but because you did. See, people respect those who respect themselves. They support those who support themselves. But it starts with your own belief. Nobody will take you seriously until you do. And no, it won't be easy, but nothing great ever is. Nobody climbs out of the valley in comfort, but they climb, they keep going, they push, because they finally understood the life they want isn't coming to five to build it, brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. You don't need someone to rescue you. You need someone to remind you that you've got what it takes. That someone is you, your own voice, your own fire, your own heartbeat screaming, get up, let's go, you've got this. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for a savior. Nobody is coming, but you are not alone. You've got God walking beside you. You've got strength inside of you. And you've got today, this sacred, powerful moment to begin again. You came for you. And that's more than enough. The shift begins with you. The shift doesn't come when the weight is lifted. It doesn't arrive on a sunny day when the skies are clear and all the traffic lights are green. No, the shift comes in the middle of the storm. It comes when the bills are still due, when your heart is still broken, when the fear still whispers in your ear. The shift doesn't wait for life to get easier. It waits for you to get stronger. This shift is not a magical moment when everything outside changes. It's the sacred moment when you change. When you stop looking around and start looking within. You don't need a rescuer. What you need is a revelation. And that revelation has a name. That revelation is, I am the one. I am the answer. I am the breakthrough. You are the shift. See, I remember being labeled educable, mentally retarded. That wasn't just a label. It was a life sentence in the eyes of many. I sat in a classroom where the expectations were buried 6 feet deep. I was that kid who didn't believe he could read aloud, the one who felt invisible. And I waited for someone to say, you matter. I waited for someone to believe in me, to lift me up, to say, Les, you've got something special. One teacher did, just one. She saw something in me. She opened a door, but let me tell you something, even with that door cracked open, I had to choose to walk through it. That decision wasn't easy. It wasn't obvious. I was scared. I doubted myself. But deep inside, something whispered, try. And here's the truth for most people. The door never opens on its own. You've got to build the door. You've got to become the door. You've got to say, if it doesn't exist, I will create it. And that's what it means when I say the shift begins with you. Nobody's going to hand you belief on a silver platter. Nobody's going to install confidence in your soul like software. You've got to be the one to rewire your brain, not in one big moment, but over and over, one decision, one thought, one belief at a time. You've got to reset your vision when it gets cloudy. You've got to renew your purpose when life pulls you off course. You've got to be the architect of your own transformation. And hear me, you will not feel ready. You will feel scared. You will hear the voice that says, what if you fail? What if they laugh? What if you're not enough? But that voice, that's not your enemy. That's your alarm clock. That's the sound that tells you it's time to wake up. Fear is not the stop sign. Fear is the green light. It means go. It means you've found something worth reaching for, something bigger than your excuses, something louder than your doubts. Growth doesn't live in comfort zones. It lives in courage zones. You're not going to grow while you're trying to avoid pain. You're going to grow when you learn how to face it, how to use it. That's what the shift does. It teaches you to turn your wounds into wisdom, your setbacks into setups, your trauma into testimony. But it won't happen until you choose to stop running, until you choose to stop blaming, until you choose to stop waiting for a miracle and become one. That's the work. That's the moment where the shift takes root. And I know it's not easy. I know you're tired. But can I tell you something? The part of you that's tired is the part that's been pretending, the part that's been carrying the weight of who you think you're supposed to be. Let that part rest. Let it go. And stand up as who you really are. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not your fear. You are not your failures. You are a child of God. You are a miracle in motion. You are the shift this world has been waiting for. But it won't know that until you know that. So today, not tomorrow, not next week, today, start moving. Shift your thoughts, shift your posture, shift your story. Because once you do, the world around you has no choice but to shift too. And that all starts with you. Turn your pain into power. You ever held something so heavy it left marks on your hands long after you let it go? That's what pain does to the soul. It imprints itself on you. Not always visible to the world, but you feel it. Every day it sits in your chest like a stone. It follows you into rooms where you're supposed to be confident. It whispers in moments you should be celebrating. Pain is real, But listen to me closely. Pain is not a prison. Pain is a professor. It's not here to punish you. It's here to teach you. Too many of us walk around carrying pain like a cross we were never meant to die on. Carrying guilt, shame, anger, regret, like it's our name, like it's our identity. But hear this, that pain you feel, it's not proof that you're weak. It's not a disqualifier. It's not a sign that something's wrong with you. It's proof that you're alive, that you still feel, that you care, that your heart still beats even though life tried to stop it. And that pain, it can either weigh you down or it can wake you up. I remember talking to a woman after a speech. She waited until the room emptied out. Tears in her eyes, her voice shaking. She said, "Les, I've been abandoned, forgotten. My whole life, nobody ever told me I mattered." You could hear the years of silence behind her voice. You could feel the ache. And I looked her in the eye and said, "Maybe nobody told you, but you're telling you now, and that's where everything changes. That's the shift right there. When you start speaking over your life, when your voice becomes louder than the echoes of pain. Because listen, I know what it means to be broken. I know what it means to cry so hard your body hurts. I know what it means to want to scream, but you're afraid of what might come out. And I know how easy it is to let pain write your future, to let it make you small, to make you silent, to make you settle. But your pain is not your whole story. It's just a chapter. And here's what I've learned: pain is fuel if you let it be. If you shift the perspective, if you take the same energy that pain uses to hold you down and you flip it, it can lift you up. You just have to decide that pain won't be the thing that breaks you. It'll be the thing that builds you. When people tell me their story, the betrayal, the losses, the heartbreak, I don't see weakness. I see power. I see people who've survived what others couldn't. I see strength that hasn't been claimed yet. Your scars, they're not signs of defeat. They're signs that you healed. They're roadmaps of where you've been and reminders that you made it through. Don't hide them. Don't be ashamed of them. Use them. Let your scars speak for you when your voice shakes. Let them say, "I went through it, but I didn't stay there." Say to yourself right now, "I matter. I'm enough. I can rise." Say it even if your voice trembles. Say it like you're planting seeds in the dark, because nobody is coming to say it for you. Nobody's going to show up in your bedroom at 3 a.m. and wipe your tears. Nobody's going to dig into your history and rewrite it. That power belongs to you. That healing, it starts with you. That next chapter, it's yours to write. And let me tell you, some of the most powerful people I've ever met weren't the ones with the perfect resumes or clean pasts. They were the ones who had been to hell and back and came out refusing to be bitter. They turned their pain into a platform. They turned their wounds into wisdom. They turned their trials into triumphs. They didn't wait for an apology. They didn't wait for justice. They didn't wait for the people who hurt them to say, "I'm sorry." They decided right there in the middle of their mess, "I'm not staying here." And you can make that same decision. Don't waste your pain. Don't bury it. Don't numb it. Transform it. There's power in your story. There's strength in your survival. There's beauty in what you've overcome. The world needs your light, but that light gets its fire from the dark you've walked through. So walk tall, speak boldly, live loudly. Turn your pain into power and become everything they said you couldn't be. Own your story. You can't rewrite your past. No matter how many times you wish you could, no matter how much you want to erase the pain, the mistakes, the hurt, your history is already written. But here's the truth that sets you free. You can own your past. You can take every piece of it, every scar, every wound, every chapter that tried to bury you and stand on it like a foundation. You can say, "This made me. This shaped me. This cannot define me unless I let it." See, for years I ran from my story. I was ashamed of being adopted, feeling like I didn't quite belong anywhere. I was embarrassed by my learning struggles, labeled educable mentally retarded, a phrase that haunted me like a shadow I couldn't shake. I tried to hide that part of me, hoping that if I kept it quiet, I could somehow outrun it, erase it, pretend it never happened. But the more I hid, the heavier it became. The more I tried to ignore it, the louder it shouted inside my soul. It was only when I started to own my scars, when I stopped running and looked my past square in the eye, that I found strength. I began to realize my story wasn't a prison, it was a powerful testimony. And I want you to know this, your story, no matter how messy, broken, or painful, is yours to own. It's the raw material for your greatness. You don't have to be perfect to own your story. You just have to be honest. Honest about your failures, your regrets, your losses. Honest about the parts of yourself that still hurt, the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the moments you felt invisible or unwanted. Because when you own it, something miraculous happens. The shame loses its grip. The power shifts from your pain to your purpose. I remember one day standing before a crowd and sharing my journey. I told them about my childhood, about the labels, the obstacles, the doubts I wrestled with. And as I spoke, I could feel something inside me change. The fear of judgment lifted because I was no longer trying to be someone else's idea of success. I was simply owning my truth, letting my story breathe, letting it live, not as a burden, but as a beacon. Your scars aren't something to be ashamed of. They are survival stories. They are the proof that the devil tried to break you, to silence you, to stop you, and failed. They're the marks of battles fought and won, even if the war feels far from over. They remind you that you're still here, still standing, still breathing, still fighting. And that alone is a victory. When you own your story, you take back control. You stop letting your past whisper lies in your ear like, you're not good enough, or you'll never change, or you're broken beyond repair. Instead, you say, I am more than my mistakes. I am more than my circumstances. I am a child of God, and my story is not over. Owning your story also means embracing the lessons it carries. Every struggle, every setback, every heartbreak holds wisdom if you're willing to look for it. It teaches you resilience, patience, empathy, and courage. It builds your character and molds your soul into something unbreakable. I want you to imagine a tree. The roots are tangled, gnarled, sometimes bruised by storms and droughts. But those roots, those scars beneath the surface, are what keep the tree standing tall. Without them, it would wither. Without them, it wouldn't grow toward the sky. Your story, with all its imperfections, is the root system of your life. It holds you steady. It gives you strength to reach higher than you ever thought possible. And here's the secret: when you stop trying to run from your past and start owning it, you stop carrying the weight of it alone. You become a light for others who are still lost in their own darkness. Your story becomes a bridge, a connection, a source of hope for someone who needs to hear. You're not alone. There is life beyond your pain. But owning your story is not a one-time event. It's a daily choice. Every morning when you wake up, you get to decide how your story will shape your day. Will it weigh you down with shame? Or will it fuel you with strength? Will it keep you stuck in what was? Or will it propel you forward toward what can be? I know it's not easy. I know that past still stings sometimes. But you don't have to let that sting turn into chains. You can break free by owning your story with courage and grace. By choosing to say, thank you for the pain, thank you for the lessons, thank you for the growth. Now watch me rise. Because when you own your story, you reclaim your power. You rewrite your narrative, not by erasing what happened, but by transforming it. You become the author of your life, the architect of your destiny. So stand tall, hold your head high. Look in the mirror and tell yourself the truth. Your story is your strength. Your scars are your survival. And nothing, no circumstance, no setback, no label can define you unless you let it. Own your story, because your life, your purpose, and your legacy depend on it. Decide to believe again. The hardest thing to do isn't to move forward. It's to believe again. After betrayal cuts you deeper than you ever imagined, after failure feels like it sealed your fate, after losing everything that once gave your life meaning, how do you find your way back to belief? How do you dare to hope again when the weight of disappointment presses so heavily on your chest? I want you to understand something vital right now. Belief is not a feeling. It's not something that magically appears when your heart feels light or when your circumstances suddenly improve. Belief is a decision, deliberate, courageous act you make despite how you feel inside. It's an act of warfare against mediocrity, a battle cry against giving up. It's your declaration to the universe that your spirit will not quit, that no matter the darkness, you will keep pressing toward the light. Belief is the fuel that drives every success story you've ever heard. It's what propels the person who's been knocked down time and again to rise up with more determination than before. It's the secret weapon of those who refuse to be defined by their past failures or present pain. Let me tell you something real. I've witnessed people with no legs run toward their destiny. I've seen addicts who hit rock bottom turn their lives around and become entrepreneurs, leaders, fathers, and mothers who lead with purpose. I've watched the forsaken and forgotten become founders and creators who build empires out of rubble. None of that happened because their feelings told them to keep going. It happened because they decided to believe again against all odds. Belief starts with a flicker, a small, almost imperceptible spark inside your soul. Maybe it's a whisper when the world is screaming doubt. Maybe it's a quiet moment in the dead of night when you tell yourself, I'm not done yet. That spark is fragile, it's vulnerable. But once you nurture it, once you protect it, once you feed it with your actions and your choices, it grows into a fire so fierce that nobody, and I mean nobody, can put it out but you. You might ask, Les, how do I even find that flicker when I feel so broken? When the world has told me I'm worthless, when the pain has erased my hope, here's the truth, that flicker is already inside you. It's been there all along, waiting for you to make the choice to see it, to decide that no matter what, you will believe again. Because belief is not about your current reality, it's about the future you're creating. Belief is a posture of the soul. It's looking at the wreckage and saying, this is not the end of my story. It's standing in the storm and declaring, I will be more than my circumstances. It's choosing to see yourself as a warrior, not a victim. And that choice is yours every single day. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions to believe. You don't have to wait for the pain to disappear or for someone else to validate you. The moment you decide to believe, you create a new reality. Doors you thought were closed begin to open. People who doubted you start to notice your strength. Opportunities that seemed out of reach begin to come within your grasp. Belief pushes you to take action when every part of you wants to stay still. It moves you forward when fear tells you to run back. It ignites your passion when despair tries to snuff it out. And here's the powerful secret: belief is contagious. When you decide to believe again, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage lights the path for those who are still lost in doubt and darkness. Think about some of the greatest stories of transformation. They all started the same way, with someone deciding to believe again. Thomas Edison believed in light after 1,000 failed attempts. Nelson Mandela believed in freedom after decades behind bars. Oprah believed in her voice despite a childhood of pain and rejection. Their belief wasn't dependent on feelings. It was a choice that fueled relentless action and unbreakable faith. I want you to picture yourself right now standing at a crossroads. One path is familiar, comfortable but stagnant. The other is unknown, filled with uncertainty but bursting with possibility. The key that unlocks the door to that new path is belief. Not blind belief that ignores reality, but faith in your potential and in the God who breathes life into your dreams. Belief is a daily decision. Some days you will wake up feeling strong, and other days you will have to fight just to keep that spark alive. But keep fighting. Keep choosing to believe that your best days are ahead. Keep reminding yourself that you are more than your setbacks and that your spirit is unbreakable. Remember, nobody is coming to rescue you. Nobody is coming to save you from your doubts, your fears, your pain. You and God, that's the team. And the first move belongs to you. You have to decide to believe again. You have to choose to be the light in your darkness, the voice of hope in your silence, the warrior who refuses to quit. Because once you make that decision, everything begins to change. The past loses its grip, the future stretches wide open, and the fire inside you burns brighter than ever before. Decide to believe again today. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Not because your feelings tell you to, but because your destiny demands it. This is your moment to rise. Your moment to declare, I believe in myself. I believe in my purpose. I believe that I will overcome. And when you do nothing, no failure, no betrayal, no loss will ever be able to stop you. Take radical responsibility. Say it with me now. If it's to be, it's up to me. Feel those words deep in your soul, because they're not just some catchy phrase or inspirational quote you pin on your wall. No, this is your anthem, your battle cry. This is the moment where you stop looking around for someone to fix your problems or to hand you your breakthrough. This is the moment you step up and say, I am responsible. I am in control. I am the captain of my soul. Listen, nobody chooses the hand they're dealt. Nobody asked to be born into struggle, pain, or hardship. We can't control the cards life dealt us, whether it was a broken home, a toxic environment, poverty, or loss. But here's the truth. You do control what you do with those cards. You do have the power to decide how far you'll rise from where you began. That power is yours, and yours alone. It's easy, too easy, to fall into the trap of blame, to say, if only my parents were different, or if only I had more money, or if only someone believed in me. But hear me when I say this. Blaming others is like giving away the keys to your prison cell and then begging for freedom. You cannot wait for the world to change or for the perfect moment to come along. The truth is that perfect moment will never arrive until you decide to make the moment perfect. Stop waiting for a rescue that isn't coming. Stop pointing fingers at the people who doubted you or the circumstances that tried to hold you down. Stop telling yourself stories that make you small and powerless. You are not helpless. You are not hopeless. You are not a victim, no matter how much the world has tried to make you feel that way. You are a creator, a builder, a fighter, a warrior who shapes your destiny with every choice you make. Taking radical responsibility means looking in the mirror and owning everything about your life, good and bad. It means saying, yes, this happened to me. Yes, I've been hurt. Yes, I've failed, but I'm still here. And now, I choose what happens next. It's a powerful shift when you realize that your life is no longer something that happens to you, but something you actively create. It's no longer about circumstances or luck. It's about you. When you take radical responsibility, the world around you begins to change, not because the world magically fixes itself, but because you do. When you reclaim your power, you see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You find solutions where you once saw problems. You develop resilience where you once felt broken. The same streets, the same people, the same challenges are still there, but you are different. You are stronger, wiser, more determined. Imagine what it would feel like to wake up every morning knowing that your future is in your hands. No more excuses. No more waiting for someone to save you. You are the one who will build the life you want. You are the one who will write the next chapter of your story. That freedom, that power, it's yours for the taking. This doesn't mean it will be easy. Taking radical responsibility demands courage. The courage to face your mistakes, your fears, and your failures head on. It means admitting when you've fallen short and refusing to let that define you. It means doing the hard work when nobody is watching and pushing forward, when every part of you wants to quit. But that's where true growth lies, in owning your story and deciding to rise above it. Think about those who inspire you most. The leaders, the visionaries, the legends. They didn't get there by blaming others or waiting for permission. They took full ownership of their lives. They looked at their circumstances and said, no matter what, I will make this work. That's the spirit that moves mountains and creates miracles. So I'm challenging you today. No, I'm calling you to stop outsourcing your power. Stop giving away your future by blaming your past. Stop standing on the sidelines of your own life. Step into your role as the creator of your destiny. Decide that no matter what has happened, no matter what's in front of you, you will own it, you will fight for it, and you will make it yours. When you take radical responsibility, everything shifts. The chains that held you back begin to break. The fog of confusion clears. Your vision sharpens. You start to move with intention and purpose. You stop waiting for miracles because you become the miracle. The life you've been waiting for starts unfolding right before your eyes. Remember this, if it's to be, it's up to you. Nobody else can do this for you. This is your journey, your battle, your victory. The moment you claim that truth, you take the first step into your power. And from that moment on, nothing can stop you. Build discipline in the dark when nobody's clapping for you, when the crowd is silent and the spotlight is nowhere to be found. That's the true test. That's where champions are made, not in the moments of glory, but in the shadows, in the quiet spaces where no one's watching, where the only person keeping score is you. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not the highlight reel. It's the early mornings when the alarm clock feels like an enemy, the late nights when exhaustion threatens to take over. It's pushing yourself to do the work when your body screams for rest and your mind begs for a break. Discipline is a lonely road because it means choosing to show up even when there's no immediate reward, no instant recognition, no fanfare. You've got to understand this. Success is not a sudden explosion. It's the result of countless small, consistent actions repeated over time, especially when nobody else is around to witness them. It's waking up at 5 a.m. while the world sleeps, grinding through your tasks while everyone else is distracted or resting. It's saying no to the tempting distractions that steal your time and energy because you know what's at stake. It's making sacrifices when no one's applauding and then doing it all over again the very next day. I've lived those dark hours myself. There were years when I spoke for free because nobody knew my name yet. I've slept in cars when I had nowhere else to go. I've cried quietly in the stillness of the night, feeling the weight of doubt and despair pressing down on my spirit. But in those moments, I discovered something powerful, the power of persistence, the power of unwavering discipline. Discipline is falling in love with the process, even when the process is hard, ugly, and lonely. It's the choice to believe in the unseen, to trust the work you're doing today will one day create the life you dream of tomorrow. Because here's the truth. Success is not an event you stumble into. It's a decision you make every single day. It's the commitment to yourself that no matter how tough it gets, no matter how long it takes, you will keep showing up. You see, discipline is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. It's the invisible thread weaving your efforts into the fabric of your destiny. When you build discipline in the dark, you're preparing yourself for the spotlight. You're sharpening your mind, strengthening your character, and proving to yourself that you have what it takes. Think about the greats, the legends who inspire you. They didn't get there because they worked only when it was easy or fun. They got there because they showed up day after day in the trenches, in the struggle, long before the crowd cheered. They built their dreams on the foundation of discipline, forged in moments when no one else believed, when no one else was watching. That's why discipline is more than habit. It's a declaration that your goals matter more than your comfort. It's the grit to do what others won't so you can have what others can't. It's the silent promise you make to yourself that you will outwork your doubts, outlast your fears, and outrun your excuses. So, when you find yourself in those dark moments, when the applause is absent and the path feels uncertain, remember this: that is exactly where you grow. That is the crucible where your character is refined. That is the training ground for your future success. Keep showing up, keep grinding, keep pushing, because every repetition, every sacrifice, every lonely morning is stacking the bricks for the life you are building. And when your time comes, the stage will be set, the lights will shine, and the world will finally see the champion you became in the dark. Align with purpose, not pressure. The world has a loud voice. It shouts at you from every direction, on your phone, in your home, in the eyes of strangers. Be richer, be prettier, be faster, be smarter, be liked, be approved, be everything now. And if you're not careful, that voice becomes your compass. It begins to direct your path, pull your strings, and shape your identity. But deep inside, there's another voice, quieter, gentler. That's purpose. It doesn't scream. It doesn't shove. It whispers, be true. That whisper is where the real power lies. See, pressure will crush you if you try to carry it all. Pressure from society, from your past, from people who don't even know your story. It's heavy, it's unrelenting. It doesn't care about your soul. It doesn't ask about your values. It just wants you to keep running on a treadmill that never stops, chasing validation that never lasts. But purpose frees you. It doesn't demand performance. It invites presence. It doesn't seek applause. It seeks alignment. It asks one question: is this who you really are? There was a time in my life when I chased everything except myself. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be approved. And it cost me. It cost me peace. It cost me joy. It cost me my authenticity. Because when you live under pressure, you shrink. You become a smaller version of yourself just to fit in someone else's mold. But when I started to live in purpose, something shifted. I stopped chasing and started becoming. I stopped explaining and started existing fully, freely, powerfully. Purpose is a compass, not a competition. It doesn't tell you to race against your neighbor. It tells you to walk in rhythm with your soul. And that's hard to do when you're addicted to the noise, the likes, the trends, the expectations, the fake smiles, the filters. You've got to get quiet. You've got to go within, because that's where purpose lives, not in the crowd, but in the core of who you are. Let me tell you something real. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need to have it all together to be impactful. All you need is to be aligned. When your heart and your habits agree, when your values and your voice are in sync, when your mission is bigger than your ego, that's alignment. That's where miracles happen. I've met people who had nothing, no money, no fame, no social proof, but they were rich in purpose, and their presence changed rooms. Why? Because they weren't trying to impress. They were trying to serve. And people can feel that. People can feel when you're walking in your truth, when you're building something real, when you're being honest about who you are and where you're going. But don't expect everyone to understand your purpose. They won't. And that's okay. Purpose isn't a group project. It's not a democratic process. It's a divine appointment. It's between you and God. And sometimes it'll ask you to walk alone, to go against the grain, to turn down opportunities that look good but don't feel right. And that's the test. That's the refining fire. Can you say no to pressure so you can say yes to purpose? And purpose isn't always grand. Sometimes it shows up in the smallest decisions. Waking up when you don't feel like it. Apologizing when your pride says no. Creating something even if no one's clapping yet. Purpose sounds like a quiet yes to yourself. A gentle nudge that says, keep going. This is the way. You'll know it by the peace it brings. Not ease, peace. Even when it's hard, even when it's uphill, something you will say, this matters. So take a breath, step back. Ask yourself, am I living from pressure or from purpose? Because one will drain you, the other will sustain you. One will make you feel like you're never enough. The other will remind you that you already are. You don't have to perform for your destiny. You just have to align with it. Show up real. Show up honest. Show up committed. And the right people, the right doors, the right moments, they will find you. Because when you walk in purpose, you don't chase light. You become it. Forgive so you can fly. Listen to me. You can't fly holding anchors. You just can't. You were born with wings, but you're walking through life with chains. Chains of resentment, chains of betrayal, chains of they never said sorry, chains of they should have loved me better. And those chains are heavy, heavier than any mountain, heavier than any failure. Because what holds most people back isn't their circumstances, it's their refusal to let go of what's already gone. I've met people who are brilliant, talented, gifted, but stuck in the pain of the past, stuck in something that happened when they were 12, 22, or even 52. And they're walking through life bleeding from wounds that time hasn't healed, because time doesn't heal everything. Forgiveness does. Forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is not saying what happened was okay. It's not excusing the abuse or pretending the pain didn't matter. No, forgiveness is looking that pain in the eye and saying, you no longer control me. You no longer get to dictate my decisions. You no longer get to poison my peace. That's power. That's freedom. That's how you fly. I remember meeting a man, strong, successful, well-dressed. But there was something behind his smile, a heaviness. And when we talked, it came out. He hadn't spoken to his brother in over 15 years. A misunderstanding turned into bitterness. That bitterness turned into silence. And that silence became a prison. I asked him, what if you forgave him? He paused. He said, but Les, he never said sorry. I said, so you're giving your power to someone who may never apologize? That hit him. See, forgiveness isn't about who deserves it. It's about who needs it. And you need it because your destiny depends on it. Your destiny is too big to be chained to bitterness. You can't soar while dragging the dead weight of what they did, what they said, how they left, why they lied. You've got to cut the rope, not for them, for you, for your peace, for your purpose, for your power. And I know it's hard. I know some wounds feel too deep. Some betrayals feel too raw. Some losses feel too cruel. But let me tell you something, carrying that pain doesn't heal it. It only hardens you. And the danger of a hard heart is that you start to block out love too. You start to mistrust good people. You push away joy. You protect yourself so much that you become imprisoned by your own defenses. That's not living, that's surviving. And you were made for more than survival. You were made to soar, but you can't fly with fists clenched. You've got to open your hands. Release the offense, release the resentment, release the memory. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it does change your posture. It lifts your eyes, it frees your heart. It lets the sunlight in again. Some of you are still waiting for an apology. Let me give you one. I'm sorry they hurt you. I'm sorry they lied. I'm sorry they didn't love you the way you deserved. I'm sorry they weren't there. I'm sorry they broke what you trusted. But now it's your time to heal. Not because they fixed it, but because you're choosing freedom over bondage. You're choosing your future over your fury. I want you to hear this in your spirit. Forgiveness doesn't erase your story. It redeems it. It turns your scars into symbols of strength. It says, yes, this happened. Yes, it broke me. But no, it won't own me. That's when you begin to reclaim your wings. That's when you rise. You see, unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. But when you forgive, you stop drinking that poison. You detox your soul. You create space for new love, new dreams, new peace. And maybe, just maybe, you start to smile again. For real, from the inside out. So if you've been carrying it, dragging it, clinging to it, let it go. Not because they earned it, but because you deserve it. Because freedom begins where bitterness ends. Because it's time to fly. And the sky, it's been waiting for you. Act without permission. You don't need permission to start. You don't need someone to tell you you're qualified. You don't need applause, validation, or a standing ovation to take the first step. All you need is breath in your lungs, a dream in your heart, and a decision. Just begin. That's it. That's where the miracle starts. Not when someone gives you a golden ticket, but when you finally realize you don't need one. We live in a world that conditions us to wait. Wait for the right time. Wait for the right people. Wait until you're less afraid, more perfect, better prepared. But let me tell you something. Perfection is a myth, and waiting for it will rob you of your destiny. I remember when I first stepped on a stage. I wasn't ready. My voice trembled, my knees shook. I had every reason to sit down and shut up, but I stood, I spoke, and I failed publicly, but that moment taught me something far greater than any success ever could. I didn't need permission to try. I just needed the courage to act. Some of you have been sitting on dreams for years, ideas, visions, callings that were planted in your heart not by chance, but by design. But you're paralyzed, waiting for somebody to choose you. Let me tell you something God already did. You were chosen the moment you were born. You were appointed for this moment, but no one can live it out for you. Nobody's coming with a crown and a clipboard saying, "You've arrived." You declare that for yourself. That book you want to write, write it. That business you want to build, start it. That conversation you've been avoiding, have it. That gift you've been hiding, share it. Stop shrinking to fit into rooms you were born to lead. Stop dumbing yourself down so other people won't feel threatened by your brilliance. This isn't arrogance. This is alignment. You are not being prideful when you stand in your purpose. You are being powerful. See, when you act without permission, you reclaim your power from the world's opinions. You stop living for likes and start living for legacy. You stop performing and start producing. You stop hesitating and start moving. And it might be messy, it might be clumsy, it might be slow, but momentum doesn't come from waiting, it comes from moving. I once met a young man who wanted to start a nonprofit. He had the heart, the story, the vision. But he kept saying, "I'm just waiting for the right partner, the right mentor, the right funding." I said, "Man, the right time is now. Start with what you have. Knock on doors, make the calls, take messy action." A year later, I watched that young man launch his dream with just $300 and a borrowed office space. Why? Because he stopped waiting and started walking. You've got to walk like it's already yours. Speak like it's already happening. Move like the vision is real, because it is. The truth is, most people don't act not because they don't have the ability, but because they're still waiting for permission from their family, their boss, their friends, the world. But let me say this loud and clear, you do not need permission to be great. You weren't created to blend in. You weren't made to follow every rule written by people who never dared to dream. You are not here to play it safe. You are here to shake things up, to set things in motion, to light fires that nobody saw coming. And sure, people may not understand you. They may criticize you. They may question your motives. Let them. They don't have your vision. They weren't in the room when God whispered that dream into your heart. They didn't cry your tears, fight your battles, walk through your fire. So why are you letting their opinion become your permission slip? Act now, act scared, act confused, act unsure, but act, move, shift, build, risk, leap, because action creates clarity and movement builds momentum. One step becomes two, two steps become 10. And before you know it, you're living the dream you used to only imagine. You are the answer you've been waiting for. Nobody is coming to hand you your destiny because you already have it. It's within you, buried under doubt, waiting to be unearthed by faith. So today, right now, in this moment, give yourself permission. Write your own yes. Be your own confirmation. Be your own green light, because nobody is coming, but you are already here. Y-U-I-R-T-H-E-O-N-E. Let me tell you something, and I want you to not just hear it with your ears, but receive it with your soul. You are the miracle you've been waiting for. You've spent too long looking out the window for someone to arrive. Too long checking your phone, scanning the world, begging life for a sign, hoping someone would knock on your door and hand you a future wrapped in a bow. But the truth is, no one's coming to rescue you because you were never meant to be rescued. You were meant to rise. You are the rescue. You are the revolution. You are the roar that breaks generational silence. You're not a mistake. You're not a placeholder. You're not some background character in somebody else's story. No. You are the main character, the hero, the fire, the force, the lion that was sleeping, and now you're awake. So get up, wipe your face, straighten your back, breathe deep, and say it loud, not as a whisper, but as a war cry. Nobody is coming because I came for me. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need to have it all figured out to take the first step. Your story doesn't need to be pretty for it to be purposeful. In fact, it's the scars, the setbacks, the soul shaking nights. That's where your greatness gets forged. You want to talk about power? It's not in pretending to have it all together. It's in choosing to rise when everything is falling apart. It's in choosing to walk again when you've been knocked down 100 times. It's in looking at your past and saying, you tried to bury me, but I became the seed. You are the one who breaks the pattern, the one who defies the odds, the one who turns pain into power, wounds into wisdom, and ashes into art. The world hasn't seen your best yet. You haven't seen your best yet. The shift, it's already happening. The shift is when you stop apologizing for existing. The shift is when you stop auditioning for approval. The shift is when you stop shrinking to make others comfortable. The shift is when you finally realize, I am not who they said I was. I am who I decide to become. So no more waiting, no more dieting. Start now, start broken, start scared, start unsure, but start. Build your dream when nobody believes. Speak your truth when your voice trembles. Move forward when your feet feel like lead. Trust me, your future self will thank you for the courage you showed when it would have been easier to quit. And yes, you will get tired. Yes, the road will test you. Yes, you'll cry, scream, doubt yourself. That's all part of the path. But don't stop. Don't settle. Don't sell your soul for safety. Because freedom lives on the other side of the fire. And baby, you were born to walk through it. You're not here to live a life that looks good on Instagram, but feels empty on the inside. You're here to live a life that sets your soul on fire. One that inspires others to say, if they can do it, maybe I can too. And if no one else ever told you this before, hear it now and hold it close. You matter. You are enough. You are chosen. You are needed. As long as there is breath in your body, your story isn't finished. As long as your heart is beating, there's still time to become everything you were created to be. This isn't the end. This is the beginning. The world hasn't seen what you're capable of yet, and neither have you. Now get up. Go forward. Not with fear, but with fire. Not with doubt, but with destiny. Not with hesitation, but with holy determination. Because you are the one. You've always been the one. You just had to remember. Let's go.